All right, so in our previous videos, we talked about setting up a Maya project folder, and then we set up an Unreal project folder. So today I'm just going to start a process called whiteboxing. That's sort of just sort of laying out the basic form and outline of your level. And there's a couple of ways to do this. And the first way I'm going to show you is actually within Unreal using its geometry. So you can use the existing geometry here, and we can also go into the mode of brush editing. So I'm going to do that right now, and that opens up this little area up here. All right, so we'll jump back over to our choices here. Most common one we're going to use is a box. So we could grab these, put them into our scene, and start to move them around. As you can see, I've got my snaps on here. And I've added a custom snap. You can always look into that at how to add your own snaps. Maybe for right now, I'll put it at 100. And so that snaps right down, a little bit down, so it's 100 off of that ground plane. Now, a couple of things I like to do before I get any further is to really just get rid of things that I'm not going to use. So I'm just going to delete this ground plane here. I don't need this reflection probe here. If I were to hide this or get rid of this, you see that my color changes. I don't really want to do that. And if I hide the skylight, that one's okay. But if I hide the sky sphere, things still not bad. But if I hide it all, right, it starts to look weird. So I don't want to do that. I'm just going to hide the ones that I don't really need here. I'll open this up just a little bit more. If I hide that, it becomes completely black, and I don't want to do that. I want to be able to have a little bit of light to be able to see what I'm doing here. So those just sort of clean that up a little bit, just so you can move things around. Now, like I was saying, you can start to build your scene here, and you can do this a couple of different ways. I'm going to grab this so we know that each one of these boxes right now is 100. All right, and I've done a little bit of experimenting here, and I'm going to realize that I want to have like a 6-meter wide hallway. All right, so mine's all going to be interior, so I'll just take this. Actually, I'm not going to extrude. I'll just edit, and we'll snap this 1, 2 that way, and we'll grab this one, and we'll go 1, 2 that way. So that now is 6 meters, and then I'm just going to bring this down like that. And this is going to be, I'm going to just use this as my ground plane for right now, and we'll just sort of pull this out here a little bit like that. All right, so maybe a little bit further, just for kicks, to get a nice hallway here. And I'll grab another one. Now, I could totally do extrusions, and that's fine. I'm just going to say don't show that again. Extruding things out like this and then taking this and, extruding them up. I could totally do that if I wanted to. Don't really want to because, in my opinion, that's a little bit slow. So I'll grab another box and put it out here. We'll just slide it over and come on, bring it down. Come on. For some reason, oh, it's because I'm still in extrude here. Let's go back into edit. There we go. Just grab that whole object. There we go. Good. And we're just going to scale this down to a wall length. Again, I'm just sort of whiteboxing for right now, so I don't really concern myself too much about this too much. So we'll go ahead and scale this out, bring that over. Let's bring my scale options to 1% here. You can see I've got a 7.5 here. So let's just go ahead and make that 10, and 0.25 is fine for that. So that's, right up against there. And then we'll grab this guy and we'll move it up like, oh, maybe one a little lower, something like that. And, that's looking pretty good so far. Let's even bring this guy over. Oop, meant to just grab that one plane. Right like that, so they're both the same size. We'll grab this guy. And I want to grab the object level. There we go. Yep. And I'm just going to clone that. So I can just clone that by holding down Alt. And then we'll bring that. Nope, we'll bring that right over. Something like that. That's fine. And, just to do that again, we're going to bring, let's hold down Alt first. Let's bring this down a little bit. Yeah, that looks better. And so then we'll hold down Alt to clone this. That all gets a little, takes a little bit of getting used to, for doing it, because in other programs it's like Shift or something like that. I'm going to take this little object here. I'm just going to move it in a little bit. And let's play our game, right? Not really a game at this point, but just sort of seeing where we are. So we can see that here is, our little motion. You can sort of get a sense, our walls are blocking us, all right, and how wide that is. Now that may seem a little bit wide, but for first person, I want to have some room to maneuver around, as well as to be able to put things in the hallway as well. So that is really what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to hit escape so I get out of that, and can continue to work on this a little bit. So you can play around with this. Another thing we can do is, let's see here. Let's assume this is our start point here. So I'm going to grab a box again, and we'll just drag it into here. Bring it down and in front. Could always zero it out like that too, but we're going to just do it this way. And we'll scale it. Oop, I'm hitting the wrong button there. There we go, scale. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Something like that. And we'll go a little taller. Not that big. Go back into movement here. And let's bring that something like that. Let's go with that, sure. And we'll go back into our scale and into here. Oh, I want that to overlap a little bit like that. You can see that's sort of like a dead end wall, but we want it to be more than that, right? So we're going to grab this object and we'll go down over here, and we're going to tell this to be hollow, right? So it's like, okay, I can sort of see that interior wall there a little bit, and I can always add a little bit to that. So maybe I want it to make it 20 or something like that. Right, then what we'll do is we'll create another box, right? So we'll throw another box into here, and let's just reset that so it's back at our center. And then I'm going to bring it up here and right like that. I'm going to zoom in so I can see what's going on right here. And I'll scale this out. And let's do it like this just for now, just so you guys can see what happens. Maybe we can even use it as a archway or something like that. I'm going to bring this guy down like that. And the key thing, though, that I want to make sure it's doing is that it is plenty deep, that it will catch the inside of this. And what I'm going to do is if we select this guy, we'll see over in here that the brush type is additive, right? Right? And now we're going to select this guy, and we're going to make it subtractive. Let's just deselect. And look what it does. It actually creates a hole in that other one, right? You can sort of see, where we've got that overlap and things like that. But, just sort of gets you a sense of, what is happening. Now, if I were to pull this guy away from that, you'll see that it is completely solid. So it's still sort of like a dynamic type of cutting that's happening here, right? So we can, let's go hit play and we'll go check it out again. So you can sort of see, hey, look at that. Got a little bit of, lip there. I can maybe bring the bottom up a little bit. But I got rid of that little, sort of edge that was cutting around all of that. So we'll just hit escape. And you can see, there we are. So let's just grab this one now. Let's just bring that floor up here a little bit. Well, let's go check it out again. Yeah, a little better. A little better. Let's go up a little bit higher. Grab that one. So you can see a little bit. So that looks like it's too high. So let's drop this down to 50. So that we only go about 50 down. And that should be pretty darn close of an even floor. Yeah, there we go. Right, so, that's going to be our player start point for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab that player start object, which is right here. I'll hit F. There we go. And I'm just going to pull that back. All right, so it starts in there. Excellent. And we'll just have it sort of hover right like that. So now when I hit play, right, that's where I start, and I can go into there, right? So you can see right now my player start is just sort of like almost like a flying object, but it at least gives me a sense of, collisions to each side. And we could continue now with our building as as we wished, right? We could go back out, and we'll just hit F, to frame out so we can see stuff a little bit better. Right? Is we could continue to add in here as wish, right? We could go and maybe add a cylinder or something like that. Let's just zero this out, all right? And we'll make that a lot bigger. Oh, let's get us bigger here. There we go. Yeah, something like that. And we'll bring it. Let's see. Remember our scaling right now is, or our movement is at 50. We have to remember that as it moves things around. All right. Maybe we want to make this one hollow as well. So we could, throw that in there and use, let's see here, that, so this one we have an inner radius and an outer radius. I'll make this to 180. All right, so it makes those a little bit bigger, like 20, like we had there. Notice we have, no ceiling in this, right? But, we can keep playing with this a little bit. Whoop, don't want to move that over or clone it. So maybe a little bit more. Oops, I cloned that one. We'll just delete that one. All right, and let's create another box, right? So we'll just create another box here. We'll just zero it out. And we'll move it up a little bit. We'll go that way. We'll go this way. I want to do what I just did. We'll go like that. Maybe a little smaller. Let's see here. And we're going to make this a subtractive. And we're going to pull it in here so that it is subtracting this guy, right? And it looks like it's a tad too big. Let's go check it out. All right, so yeah, so it's a bit too big. It's carving out. Looks like it also needs to go a little lower and possibly a little higher, right? So let's just edit that a little bit. Yeah, see how much that is? So let's maybe bring our scaling down to like 0.25. There we go. Great. And maybe a little bit more. Great, there we go, right? So now if we apply, we can see that it takes us into this little area. Now, if we go through that, we're going into, into space, right? We don't want to do that, right? So we need a floor in there, all right? So let's go ahead and create a floor, all right? So we'll create another cylinder. And I'll just start it at the origin here. We'll move it to the center of this guy. Oop. Bring this up. And you know what, we can maybe even change the radius this way. So we'll just do it that way. Looks like it needs to come over just a little bit. That's great. And we'll scale it. Doesn't really matter, something like that. And then we'll hold down Alt and just clone that. And we want to make sure that we're using the same thing. Now let's go into maybe like a left view. All right, so we can sort of see that's okay. We want to bring this in. We could grab these and bring them down, maybe bring it by tens, like that if we wanted to. A lot of different ways that you can move things around and adjust them in this editing method. So, we'll go back to our perspective view. You can see it, it's sticking out. But again, because mine's an interior, I don't really care what it looks like on the inside or on the outside. Right? So that's a little bit of a lip there, but I could adjust that if I wanted to, or again, because all I'm trying to do is white box out a level, right, to get a basic feel of my level. Don't really need to worry about that too much, right? So this is definitely one way we could do it, right? We could continue to, use things. You could throw stairs in here and manipulate those around. You could, throw spheres in, adding to the, the tessellation if you wanted it to be, more smooth. Realizing more polygons, the more of you know, of a strain it makes on the system. Um, you know, you can select things over here. I'll just get rid of that one. Um, you know, so all of these things, and you could continue to build out what you wanted in this way. And again, you know, there's a lot of extra tools here. You know, we could go into like a top view here and use pen, which, you know, is a pretty cool way you can like draw things out. Um, you know, we could grab here and say, you know what, all right, you know what, I want to grab here and then here, and we'll just see here. I forget how to do this because I've never used this. Quite space bar to place a vertex, right? So we'll click here, boom, and then, you know, we'll go somewhere in here, and, you know, maybe up here and here, and we'll go all the way down to here and then back to here, you know, and you know, we'll just call that finished. And now I can go back to my perspective view, and you can see, oh, look, you know, and you can start to edit that just like you would anything else, right? But you have to realize that the faces may be, you know, slightly different in that circumstance. So a lot of ways you can, you know, spin things around, you can flip things, you know, all this kind of stuff. This, I'm sort of overviewing this because this is not the way I tend to do whitebox. I tend to do my whiteboxing in Maya, all right, and that is what my next video will be about.